Hey guys, it's Jozy here, back again with another video. Now in this video, I want to be talking through the mistakes you can afford to make when booking appointments. And the reason I wanted to do this video is because right now I've trained well over 150 agencies on how to start booking appointments, how to start scaling their businesses, all the way from people that we help like Lamau, all the way from 8K per month, all the way to 175K per month in just under 6 months, and so many other agents that we help do the exact same thing. And when I was just going through kind of what we help them do when it comes to appointment, I realized that all of them were doing some mistakes that I myself done at the start of the agency journey, and I wanted to make a video just going through all of them, right? And one of the mistakes that, just to get straight into, one of the mistakes that I see a lot of people doing right now is when booking appointments, trying to not sound salesy, right? Even though you're looking to sell to them, right? And the reason I say this is because you may be in the DMs right now, you may just be, let's say, be networking, or you think you're networking, but in reality, you actually just want an appointment and you're just starting conversations, but not actually turning these conversations into sales calls. And this is just one of the things I see. I've got a whole list of big mistakes that people are doing, but this is just one thing that is a big mindset shift that happened to me in terms of treating, let's say, conversations, in terms of treating them as networking, treating them as sales conversations, right? You're looking to find if they have a problem, find if you can solve them, and most importantly, just hook them into responding to you, okay? Now, I'm saying this after booked over thousands of appointments just via DMs alone, so I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to this. And also, another thing I'm seeing right now when it comes to, let's say, one of the biggest pitfalls is freestyling in the sales conversation. So again, you may be having a sales conversation with someone, but you don't actually have a clear, proven processes on how to get someone from point A in terms of just initiated, just them getting a message from you, all the way to point B for them showing up to a Zoom link with you, or perhaps buying a product or your service, okay? And with these, I wanna just let you know, once you fix these after we go through all the steps, not only are you gonna be booking more appointments, but it's also gonna help you with your close rate. Because A, you're gonna have more appointments, right? B, they're gonna be better framed before them jumping on the call, meaning that as soon as you jump on the call, you're actually gonna be in a better position to close them. Number two as well, you can also improve your show up rate, right? Because like I said, what happens in the DMs can largely affect how they show up to the call, right? And especially the first impression is actually one of the biggest things when it comes to generating appointments. We found was once we've dialed in the, let's say the DM conversation, our show up rate right now is on 85 to 95%, right? Consistently. So everything I'm gonna show you here, this is literally the main things that are gonna help you go from point A, where you're not booking appointments, you don't know how to even start, all the way to point B, to booking appointments, scaling, and things like that, right? So just a big, kind of starting my whole journey with appointment setting. Right now, we manage a team around 7 setters, and all these setters right now booking anywhere from 150 to 200 appointments per month, right? So I went from just me, myself doing it from the start. I remember when it was my phone, just me, myself, just sending voice notes or perhaps messaging people, and I was working bloody all day and night trying to book appointments for myself. And then once I found what worked, and then I just got setters to come in, do exactly what we're doing in terms of at the moment, and just scaled it up via accounts and setters. So I literally started where you are right now, or what you're trying to be right now from the start, and I build all the way to up where I don't even do appointments anymore. Like I haven't touched appointments in the last year or so because we just have a system that's dialed in, right? And everything I'm gonna show in this video has literally helped me go from the point that I literally started doing it myself all the way to a point that I don't touch them, right? And all I'm doing is just doing high level strategy when it comes to appointment setting. And this is what I'm trying to play and kind of send to you in this video, okay? So the first mistake out of all of them is not testing and reiterating enough. Now, when I first started doing, let's say voice notes, or let's say sending out messages myself, I was testing like a mad dog, right? I was really tracking each and every single metric, making sure that I'm testing the, let's say the first message, testing the targeting, testing the conversation, like making sure, hey, if I send them over like a mini pitch, which is kind of a mini explainer of what we do, I literally saying how many people seen it versus how many people booked from that message being sent. And I kept testing and reiterating that. And a lot of people just don't do enough of that, okay? Especially when the first starting out, they think that the first opener or the first scripts, right, is literally gonna be the one that works, but in reality, that's not how it is, okay? So what I always implore is for you to test at least 10 to 30 openers, right? And what openers are is the first initial message that you send to a prospect, right? And I want you to test 10 to 30 openers because A, that's gonna put you in the right mindset, and B, is not actually gonna help, it's gonna make sure that you're not discouraged as you start sending out voice notes, as you start sending out messages, as you start booking appointments. Because a lot of people, 100%, they get to their 5th test, right? And it's like the guy, there's like a big painting of a guy, and he's trying to like dig a well, and he's just trying to dig, and there's 2 people, one that's just digging and finally got there, and there's other people that was just so close of digging the well, getting the diamonds, right? But then he turns back and leaves, okay? And that's what a lot of people do in appointment setting, right? They start digging the well, they start digging, right? And then as soon as they're that close, one more test, one more iteration, they just give up. Right? So I implore you and literally put upon you, put at least 10 to 30 tests when it comes to finding the opener, because literally it could be that 9th test that you run gets you into KPI, right? And as well as changing your target market, especially at the start if you don't have a well-defined niche, because it could be that your target market is not on the platform that you use it. So for example, if you're using Facebook and you're trying to find, let's say, e-commerce of doing, let's say, 10 million per year, it's very unlikely you can find them on Facebook, right? So if you're going to still use the platform, then change the target, or if not, go to another platform. And a lot of people don't do that because it could be, for example, you could be targeting the CEO of a specific industry, and that specific industry is not on LinkedIn, but perhaps the sales directors, right, or the marketing managers are heavily on LinkedIn. So then you can just change the targeting, target them, and then increase your median book rate, right? So I really want you to test that as well, especially as you're starting out. Now, for each and every single test, we're going to do 50 cents per test. So if you got an opener, you're going to send it to 50 people, and then we're looking more of a 5 to 10% positive reply rate. So if you send it to 50 people, and let's say 2 to let's say 5 of them reply, then you've got a good opener, right? Then you can go test the rest, okay? So that's the first thing. Like I said, the second thing again is I'm gonna basically go deeper on freestyling the conversation, right? And a lot of people don't understand that essentially, you need to take control of the conversation. And in order to do so, we're going to make sure that every single time we have a conversation with someone, especially via the DMs, we ask a question, right? So let's say someone asks you a question in terms of price. Hey, Mr. Prospect, love to hear about price. And this was just me texting. We range between 2K to 5K one time. But the main thing is ROI. So if you were to add an extra 10 to 20 appointments into your calendar, how many of them do you really think that you could close, right? So again, the prospect asked me a question, and then I answered it back with a statement and a question to make sure I'm always in control of the call, right? And a lot of people are allowing prospects, especially in the DM conversation, to take control of the call, right? Because prospects are never honestly like naturally going to want to book a call with you. It's always kind of have to be more manufactured, right? More kind of forced on your side to make sure you lead them down the way of the call, right? As well as I want to add another thing is giving too much information in the DMs. And this a lot comes again freestyling, because at the end of the day, the prospect wants to book a call with you to learn more about your service. So if you're already giving them so much information, especially about your mechanism, your service, everything like that, it just basically like dies or kills the curiosity that they need to jump on a call with you, right? Because they want to learn more about what you do, how you can help them, things like that, right? So don't give too much. Don't also freestyle. What I want you to do now is just have maybe just a structure in place of certain questions that you'll ask the prospect. Like for example, let's say about the problem, let's say in terms of how looking to get started, how much do they need, or in terms of the desired outcome, perhaps they need 10 appointments, 5 appointments, or they need to have 200K, 300K per month. And then I'll always want you to go in for a call to action for them to book a call, right? And always remember that you're asking the question. You're the one in control of the conversation, okay? Then when it comes to the next part, is tracking and having right SOPs, right? Because once you start finding something that works, right, you want to make sure that you document everything that works. So you document the opener they use, you document how you handle the objections, you document how you pitched to them, you document how you got them on the call, you document each and every single part, and just compartmentalize it or put it in a document. This is actually going to help you, number one, actually delegate it off as soon as you start hiring employees or setters, but also going to help systematize what you're currently doing. So perhaps you may put an hour of work and you may get 2 bookings, right? But because you systematize it, you can get the same 2 bookings with 30 minutes of work because you already systematized and documented each and every single part of the process. And of course, that's also going to help you book more appointments and help your sellers become more efficient, right? And as well as you're wanting to put essentially everything on a Miro board. And when I mean a Miro board, I mean basically like a board they can use that basically says step 1, do this, step 2, do that. And it's mainly like a flow chart. And this is also going to help you better visualize your processes. So when you then go to explain it to people, especially employees that never heard of it, they know exactly how to follow it and they can start booking appointments and they can start being self-sufficient. That's one of the biggest things, okay? Then, once you got your SOPs dialed in, I also want you to be tracking every single one of your data. And this is what a lot of people don't do. They don't track anything. And this to me is bloody wild, right? I always go when I'm in the coaching calls with my clients and they come in, I'm going to say, hey, where's the data, right? And if they can't bring me data, I'm like, okay, the conversation is over, right? Because a lot of people would just make emotion driven decisions instead of data driven decision. And it's so easy because, for example, there's a thing in appointment setting called regression to the mean, which basically means like the averages. So let's say if you flip a coin, it may be heads, 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 and then maybe tails, 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 right? But on an average over a long enough time horizon, right, it's all going to be even heads and tails. Okay, the same thing with appointments. You could have a day that you have so many appointments, you book maybe 25 appointments in one day. The next day that you book 2, then your head is like, oh my god, frazzled, right? But let's say if you put it as an average, you may have booked 10 to 12 appointments each and every single day, but you just had a really low day. And some people go through that and then they change the entire appointment setting strategy, which is actually ludicrous. You should not be changing. If this is you, stop this video, because you should not be changing your appointment setting strategy just because of one bad day, or perhaps 1 or 2 or 3 bad days, right? If last week you were just booking so many appointments and now something has gone wrong, it's like, oh my God, and you change things up. Like, what are you doing? Things were working, right? But I'm not saying that, of course, you always have to keep it. What I like to do to kind of, because as a founder, as a marketer, you always want to become better, right? So if you are, let's say, have shiny objects and you want to test things out, have something called like a Petri dish test, where basically you take, like, let's say 20%, 30% of your outreach volume, and then you just put it towards testing, right? So let's say you send 100 messages a day, you send 20 tests, and then 80 of the actual messages that's working, okay? So that's something that if, again, you're like, Josiah, I always want to improve, things like that, you can have just, and you can allocate some volume or some quantity just for testing. But when it comes to just your appointment setting strategy, just track every single data, right? And do not make emotion-led decisions. That's one of the biggest things, okay? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is opening space on your calendar, right? And this happens because I remember one time we were doing, we had sellers, they're booking so many appointments, and we had such a high median book rate and Calendly summary. That means we sent a lot of people, a lot of Calendly links for them to schedule a call with us, but the conversion from people that we send Calendly links to, all the way to the people that actually booked a call, was like 10%. I was like, what the hell? Our average conversion before that was like 50, 60%. So I'm like, how is this gone down by a factor of 5? How is this even possible? But then I realized we booked so many bloody appointments that we didn't have enough space on the calendar, right? And especially, right, and I've seen this come to a lot of people. Let's say you're based in Europe, you're targeting US, right? But then your calendar shuts off at 5 p.m. European time. But then all the US have just gone into the morning or going into the afternoon, right? But all you're targeting is US. You don't have the adequate, let's say, calendar space to even target that country or target that time zone. So you always want to look at, hey, look at your Calendly, number one, to see how much spaces that are available. Make as much space as you physically can. Don't be them guys saying, oh, I'm going to pretend that I'm busy so I can only book that. Like, guys, just don't do that. Like, there's no point. Just get the booking as soon as possible, and then just close them, right? And then also target countries that you're actually available in their working hours, right? So if you're not, like, if let's say you have some family ties or things like that, and you're actually not available in US hours, but you're in the UK or let's say Germany or something, right? Then target European country, because not only are you going to be booking more calls, you can actually take the calls. That's the main thing, right? So always like maximize as much availability on your calendar. That's one of the biggest things. So just look, see how you can maximize it, and then move on, right? Now, when it comes to, I added some additional, like these are the main like 4 things you need to do. However, I added some more notes just for really kind of helping you out, especially if this is starting out. Number 1, for founders. Especially if you're building this system yourself and you're an agency owner, you want to make sure that you delegate the system as soon as you start booking appointments, right? Around 5 to 10 appointments, as soon as you book that, you have a good system in terms of, let's say, a 1 to 2% APR, then you don't need to do it anymore, right? And you can get people for commission only basis. And of course, I'm gonna make a video about this. You can get people for commission only basis to take the whole entire system and then just do it on your behalf. And this will save you so much time in the process, right? Because you want to open up your calendar to take sales calls, because that's when you're actually going to be making the money, right? And I see a lot of people saying, oh, they're not going to do as better as me. But the main thing, the reason why people don't do it as better as you, number 1, is because they don't really know how to do it, right? The same way you do it, because you haven't documented, there's no proper training. Number 2, you've just made it so complex, right? That when they go into it, they're like, oh my God, like, what's going on, right? So that's what I mean. When you document everything you're doing and make it such a simple system, anyone, like we've had people from the Philippines join the group, right, and start booking 5 to 10 appointments a day, right? Just people from the Philippines are just VAs, just because you made it that dead simple for anyone to target, right? And then also, in terms of when it comes to your outreach, you want to make sure that you personalize the outreach. As you start scaling, right, you can personalize via quantity, but I also like to personalize via quality, right? So first, you can have just a general one, but then you always want to start personalizing, perhaps at the first line, 5% voice notes, right? For you to really personalize the text, okay? And then when it comes to metrics, if you want to be a metrics person, we're looking for this around a 5 to 6% PRR and around 1 to 2% median book rate, right? So if you have a 5 to 6% PRR and then a 1 to 2% median book rate, you can scale that system and then just book as many appointments as possible, right? And that's the main thing, right? So firstly, make sure that you're not freestyling in appointments. You actually have a system. Make sure that at first you're testing around 10 scripts, 50 cents per script. Then also make sure you're tracking each and every single thing that you're doing in terms of the median send. Make sure you have a whole spreadsheet and you're tracking it religiously, right? Also, you want to make sure that you have enough calendar space on your calendar to actually book all of these meetings. And this is essentially how I took my whole appointment setting journey from me doing myself all the way for me getting setters that coming in booking appointments, right? And right now, like I said, we book around 5 to 10, even plus sometimes 20 appointments a day. So trust me, I've gone through all of it. So just take it, add it to your business. And if you are interested in us helping you out with all this thing, there's a link below for you to book a call. If not, have a nice day. Like, subscribe. YouTube is going to show you more videos like this, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.